Bye-bye. Uh, Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining today's session. My name is Sachin Gupta. I am current SSGSA chair, and I'm currently a PhD student at University of Massachusetts in Boston, doing my PhD in physics. So we'll be conducting this workshop for I think from last couple of years. The CV. So I'll be using the same slides, but with more corrections that I have learned in the previous year. Yeah, so if you have any questions, you can always write the questions in the chat box, and then we will take them at the end. Uh, Please, I also request you to please keep yourself mute. Don't write anything on the screen. We'll be giving you stage at the very end to ask questions. And this webinar will be more interactive. So I will be asking you questions. I will be asking you comments. So I strongly request you to please keep putting your comments in the chat that I will be asking you some questions. Please answer them in the chat box so that I know your suggestions, I know your comments, and then we will work like that. Okay. So let me share my screen and then we can see more. So why can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your
Thank you.
screen very clear.
Thank you. Yeah. So before I start, I would like to mention that all of those things are like coming out of my own observations of reviewing CVs and other grad school documents for many years. Not only from a legal, but from students from IITs, ICs, TFRs, like from some US universities too. Okay, and before I start, I would like to mention that making CV is like very creative thing. It's more like making a painting. So it can be subjective. Some of the people may not like some of the things. Some may really appreciate that because it's an art. It's how you present yourself. Okay, so let's move forward. So the first question that we always encounter while starting writing about ourselves is what is resume and what is CV, or are they same thing or two different things? So resume is basically like a, let me just use a pointer. Okay, so resume is basically a 1 or 2 pages long document focused on like professional audience. Like if you're applying for some jobs, some internships, that you basically use resume. But some of the grad schools may also ask, but that's very rare. And it basically covers your kind of qualifications you want to perform. You just want to highlight your qualifications for a particular job you're applying to. On the other hand, CV is basically a 2+ page long documents, not 2+, I would say two is pretty much enough. And it's specifically for an academic settings. Sorry. So we basically use a CV when we apply for a grad schools program. And I would say most of the grad school program, because it varies sometimes, people also request for CVs for your fellowships, grants, scholarship, and so on and so forth. And it basically captures the capabilities and your involvement in all the academic field of study you are interested in. So as I mentioned, we'll be focusing on a CV for throughout this workshop, because that is most of the grad schools really request for to submit. Again, so what does a CV do for you? So CV stands for curriculum vitae, and in Latin, it basically means course of one's life. So you basically mentions about your own life. And when do we need it? So we need it for two particular events. One, when you apply to a grad school, most of the grad schools ask you to upload a PDF of your CV. So you really need it. Some may not ask, some may ask you to fill the stuff. They have a separate sections in their applications. You have to fill the part, but it will be simply a copy from your curriculum vitae. The other and very important part of the application is when we email professors asking for PhD or funded master's positions, you have to attach a CV with the mail. And here plays a CV a very important role. Okay. So let me actually like just first briefly answer some of the common questions people ask about CV. So, some people ask how many pages. So I would say one or two. I would say two because we are going to focus on CV. People ask which software should we use, MS Word, LaTeX, InDesign, Canva, and I don't know, like a lot of AI tools are also there nowadays. So you can use any one of them. There is no standard practice. But when you send your CV to someone, always make sure to send in PDF. Because if you send in different documents, there are a lot of time scrolling issues, a lot of time formatting issues, a lot of time text disappears. Let's say, for example, in Word. So always send in PDF, and that is what PDF is made for. It should be colorful or not. Yes, you can put it. I'll show you some examples, but please don't make a rainbow out of it. Don't put different colors all the time. What's a font style? There are some recommended font styles like Times New Roman, Calibri, Georgia, which is easy to read, but don't use like fancy, like any other fancy font style, because it should be easily readable, and that's the main purpose of a CV. What should be a font size? You can say 10, 11, 12. Let's say 12 for main headings, 11 for subheadings, 10 for the text, or 9, 10, 11. You should not have like a huge fonts. I remember reviewing a CV from a student from IIT Madras, and the student has like 8 pages CV, and I was like, when I just opened it, I was like, oh wow, it's gonna be an interesting CV. But when I just opened the CV, the font size was like 24. 18, like huge text over there, huge font size, uh, which may make like a lot of pages. Like your resume can be like for long, but the text within, you have that's like a basically crisp and important thing. What should be order of headings? I'll show you an example, but they are flexible, but their main purpose is to highlight your strength first, and then you can, if you can fill in with other things like extracurricular activities and so on. And what's like a like let's say you have degrees. What should be chronology of that? So it should always be reverse. Let's say you have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. So you first put a master's degree and then bachelor's degree. So we always go in reverse chronology. Okay. So how do you make a CV? So I always say that make a CV as you dress up. It should be properly aligned. Things should be properly aligned. There should be same font. If you're using 12 for main headings, it should be 12 for all the headings. If you're using 11 for the subheadings, it should be 11 for the subheadings, and so on. There should be a symmetry. Human naturally appreciates symmetry, so there should be a symmetry. There should be a proper spacing. There should not be any redundancy, like you're not using the word I did, I did, I did, I did. No, that should not be there. And most importantly, it should be understandable for a reader. What I mean by that a lot of the words we use in India are different from people use in Europe or US. So those words should be modified as you are writing an application. For example, let's say you qualify some exam and you write that my AIR was 29 all over the India. But AIR is a word that people know in India. In the US or Europe, people really have no idea what AIR means because it stands for All India Rank, and it's definitely specifically for India. So you have to write All India Rank. You have to explain those words which you think are not common in not like a global words. Okay. So what is a possible format of a CV? So I'm sure here in the audience, there are two kind of students. One are who are going to apply for funded PhD or like research-based programs, research-based master, research-based PhD, or some may be looking for non-research-based masters or like other programs. So so you start with a header, and I'll walk you all those sections one by one in the coming slides. So you should start with a header. You can talk about your profession summary or objective. It's completely optional. Then if you have a research-based CV, you can mention your research interest, your field of research interest. But if you are applying for non-research base, definitely you don't have to mention about it. Then you mention about your educational qualifications, your degrees you have done. You can, in research base, you can mention about your research experiences, thesis, internships. But for non-research based, you first start with work experience, because let's say you are applying for MBA. So work experience is important thing for that. Then is a research experience. But if you have research experience, you can definitely mention that. It will always give you an edge. Research publications, you can definitely mention if you have. You don't need have. If you have, you definitely make sure to mention. It will make your CV very stronger. It will show that you have a broader experience with different things. So make sure to mention them. Then you can mention your technical skills. If you have attended any summer schools, workshops, posters, you have done relevant courses, that shows that you already know uh, similar things for the program you're applying to, or you have done like a required credits for the particular program you're interested in, and apply for curriculum activities, co-curriculars, volunteer work. And then at the end, if you have a space, you can mention references. So these are like one kind of thing that I feel that should be should be like a best way we put our things together. Uh, you can vary as per as the requirements or the program you're applying to. For example, let's say you're applying for a PhD in social science or like a social work, then volunteer work becomes very important. So you can bring it up. It's completely up to the program you're applying to. Okay, so now I'll be asking you questions one by one, and please feel free to write your comments in the chat box. Now from onwards, I will be showing you one of like everything. That's I will start with header. So what kind of mistakes we usually do while making a CV, and what can be a better way to show that. And at the end, I will show you one of the CV I made it for myself. Okay, so let's start with the header. So your header should have your name, your present designation. What are you working on? Are you current master student? You're working somewhere, uh, or whatever you're doing right now. You should put your contact information, and then like you can put your photo, but it's not mandatory. Some may put, some may not. So it's completely optional thing. You can put a LinkedIn there, and then if someone is interested, people can click on your LinkedIn and can see your photo. So it's completely up to you. Okay, so here, so uh, all of the screenshots that I mean, these are not screenshot. I just recreated them, but I'll be putting, I'll be showing you the things. I took it from the CVs I reviewed, and there were some kind of mistakes there, which I wanted you to find out yourself. Please put in the comment box and tell me what are the mistakes you feel in this particular header. That this is like a real header somebody showed me, somebody sent me to review, and I just made some comments. So I just copied it and put it there. So please put in the chat box, what do you think, what are the possible comments students are doing here. And I'll keep it here. Yeah. So I can also see. Yeah. Please put the comments in the chat box. Yeah. Your designation is missing. Very good. Adnan, please, yeah, just put in the chat. Everyone can see the comments. LinkedIn URL could be better. Very good. So the name of the university being right below your name is an error. Very good. Missing designations. Very good. Okay. Very good. Yeah, you guys found like a very nice mistakes people do. So just let me point out. So here is one more. This is like a real header somebody sent me, and I replaced with my own information for privacy reasons. Tell me, what do you think? What are the possible mistakes in this particular header? Yeah, please. This access information looks very crowdy. Line breaks. Very good. Passport, no passport number. Very good. Short forms. Very good. Yeah, you guys are doing a very good job. I don't think passport number is required. Very good, Aisha. Akib said font size, 2 emails. Very good. Passport number is unnecessary. Some is mentioned. Very good. Yeah. So you all have pointed very nice things. I'm very impressed. Just let me show you what I think. Okay. So see, here is like a modified version of this, and you don't. I just put a yellow color just for just to separate out things. But these are the suggestions I feel can be a part of the document. Okay, so you don't have to put a yellow color, just for a reference. And there is one more. So it's an old one. I don't like this one anymore. I mean, this is really pretty good, simple, straightforward. So you see, I don't put a LinkedIn link. I just put a LinkedIn, and if I am interested in, I will click on that link, and it will direct me to that my particular stuff. Or or you can put a LinkedIn like that. So if you go on a LinkedIn, LinkedIn is a feature to make your name better. You don't have to put like X, like Sachin XOCB2K. No, it should not be like a nice one. You can go, and when you have an option, you can edit it. So it should be pretty good. Okay. Uh, Now you don't have to put too many emails. Like just put one, the one that you are gonna use. If your school email is working, I strongly recommend you use that, because when you get an email from school, from universities, people really consider that. But if you think that your email, let's say you graduated and you think that your email is not going to work at all, like after you graduate, so I recommend you don't put it then. Okay, so you can put like a simple address. That's my, when I was in Aligarh, that was my address there. So you don't have to put like a fancy address, like, like village, post office. That's here, nobody's gonna know. And most importantly, adding address was an old tradition, because people used to send CVs by post. Now you send CVs by email, and email is your address. Hence we call it email address. So as you see, I did not put my email. I didn't put my address there. You can just simply put your email, your phone number, your LinkedIn, and that's pretty much enough. You even don't have to put your address. Okay, and you see LinkedIn is simple and clean. Okay, now moving forward to next point, which is professional summary and objective. So professional summary is basically talks about your description of the qualifications, that explains why you are good fit for a particular role you are applying to, and you can also highlight your achievements, experiences, educations. For example, let's say this one, like you are analytically driven psychology masters. So you just mention that you have a master in psychology with 2 years of experience and focus on what particular field. And then you mention that you have a strong academic record and so on. And then you can also mention about objective. It's not fixed what are you going to mention. You can mention a paragraph that talks about your career goals, basically to focus on particular job or industry or the skill you want to go. Like for example, I want to get a PhD position. I'm looking for a PhD position in a particular group that helps me to develop my scientific thinking and so on. You can add more, but it should not be really a huge paragraph. Maybe like 2 or 3 lines should be enough, like that. Okay, next, I think moving forward. So what is area of research interest? If you are applying for a PhD position or like a funded or a research-based masters, that is, this section is for you. Uh, okay, so you have to mention the fields you really want to work in. Let's say here is the one somebody mentioned. Can somebody, can you try to find out mistakes in this particular area of research interest somebody mentioned? And this is basically from a student of MSc in industrial chemistry. What do you think? What are the problems in this particular stuff? Okay, let me see in the chat box. Uh, okay, let me see. Okay, so somebody mentioned alignment. Okay, yeah. Do you think anything else? Information is limited. Okay, very good. Not narrowed down field. It is very vague. Very good. Anyone else? You doing it? Guys are doing a pretty good job. Uh, okay, just let me just brief quickly. So see, it is too broad. Because why it's broad? Because this is from a student of industrial chemistry, and if you have an interest in industrial chemistry, this is very broad. Nanotechnology is fine. Organic inorganic synthesis is fine. But if you're just I'm a physics student. If I say my research interest is physics, it's like big thing. And then sentence case should be used. So for Adnan mentioned, sentence case should be used. It's completely up to you. If you like, a lot of time people mention use like a capital letter for different subjects. You can use that. It's not a very standard thing. It's completely up to you. Okay, now coming to the next one. So this, like, what do you think about that? What are the problem in this particular topic? Yeah, let me just see if I can see. Okay, yeah. What do you think about that? Mm. Anyone? Yes. Yeah. Astronomy is a very vast field. Narrow it down. Is it broad? Uh, yes. Just okay. So I'm gonna.
Recording in progress.
Okay. So just give me a moment, please. Sorry. Yeah. So I think it's basically. Mhm. Yeah. I just wanna see the chat here basically. Okay. Uh, yeah. So if you basically look here, this is like okay. So this one is like very focused. Sorry for that. Sorry for the interruption. This is like this very focused because when you apply for a PhD or a master's, we are basically early stage researchers, and if you specified a lot your topic of interest, you are losing the chances because let's say you're applying for a particular department. So in that department, only one or two professors may be working on those fields. When you apply, you really reduce your chances of interest. So you have to be like a broad, but it should not be very broad and it should not be very focused. What do you think? What are problems in this particular one? Yeah, anyone? Yeah, too broad. Okay, very good. Anyone else? Totally different subjects. Sherpa has like wonderfully mentioned that these are two different subjects, like corporate law and psychology are two different things. Nobody's tooling the two fields. Very good. Yeah. Very good, guys. So definitely they should not be like mutually irrelevant. And what do you think about that? And this is my really my favorite one because somebody sent me a CV for review and then mentioned these things. What do you think about that? Yeah. Not related, different fields. Astrology is not science. Very good, Shepard. Uh, you're right. Science and non-science, very good. Yeah. So please don't mention such things which you think isn't confusing, just jumping around. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. So you can mention anything, whatever you think. So please make sure you do not mention such things that can offend a scientific community or like any community you are mentioning. You may have your own personal interest. Let's say someone may be interested in astronomy or astrology for personal reasons. That's completely fine. But when you're applying, because when you're trying to sell your CV to someone, you have to speak the language in which the professors uh, want to talk to you. So don't mention such things. You can have personal interest, but don't mention your CV. Okay. Now coming to the next section, here is like about educational qualifications and academic details. You have to mention all your degrees. You can include high school, intermediate too, but there's a catch. I'll mention a brief. What do you think? What are the problems in this particular one? Yeah, I'll just open it. Okay. What do you think? What are the mistakes people have in this particular stuff? School qualifications not needed. Very good, Naila. Systems of grading should be same. Okay, Mita, that's nicely mentioned. Yeah. Percentage and CGPA mixed. Very good, Shepherd. GPA instead of CGPA. Very good. Anyone else? Intermediate at top. Okay. The grading mentioned should be uniform. City or state should be mentioned. Masters and intermediate not required. So again, as like somebody has mentioned that master should be degree and no shouldn't be. We always have to put things in a reverse chronology. So the chronology is perfectly correct. You first mention your master's degree, then undergrad, then your the plus two. So here are just what do you think about the problem in this one, in this section? And also should be a 4-point scale, depend on the country. That's also very nice. Tosi will say, can you show page 9 or 10? Tosi, we will upload, we will try to upload the recording on a YouTube. You can just go through them. If we have missed something, Sababhai said Bachelor of Science instead of Bachelor of Science instead of Bachelors of Science. Very good, Sababhai. Yeah, that's also like a nice one. What do you think about this one? Yeah. Where can I? Yeah. 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 Arisha said, where can I rewatch this on YouTube? Yes, we will upload. I mean, there are already a recording of the similar session on the YouTube. We will also post, you can go visit our SSGSA YouTube channel. You can find the recording there. Aligarh is not required in university name. Uh, that's actually not correct. You have to, name of the university is Aligarh, so you have to mention, oh, here, yes, definitely. You don't have to mention Aligarh. Line spacing issue, didn't mention city in bachelor section. We have to be uniform. Very good. Aligarh both, yeah. So there are a lot of things, and there is one more. Somebody has mentioned this one, like Aligarh Muslim University, UP with MSc this and this. So let me just tell you what are the mistakes people have in this particular section. Okay. So again, as some of you also mentioned, there's inconsistency. You're writing Master of Science, then it should be Bachelor of Science. There should be a consistency. See what is the correct name of a degree. They, when you if you're applying to US programs, people really don't know what intermediate means. They have a high school system. They have a 4 high school system. If you are ninth grader, 10th grader, you have 10th, sorry, 9, 10th, 11, 12. If you're 9, you are freshman, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. They have such kind of system. So you have to mention like that. See, you have mentioned the grade and it is an inconsistency. Like you put percentage sign and you put a CGPA. And CGPA is not a known word in the US. In here, there it looks like there's a more emphasis on the dates rather than the degrees themselves. Here again, degree is a primary thing. So you have mentioned university first, mention your degree first, and then a university because degree is primary thing. And you mentioned Uttar Pradesh, which is may be an unknown place for people living outside the country. So I personally recommend you just mention India. That's pretty much enough. Okay, so here is a suggestion uh, that you can mention. So if you see here, oh, I also made a mistake. I did not bold the bachelor's. So you can mention your degree. I briefly mentioned my CGPA. Uh, you can put a grades instead of CGPA. That's a better language. You can put a grade out of what scale. You can put university name on the right hand side. You can put a date. And if you have any achievements, you can also mention that. Here is one more. So I bold my degree, Bachelor of Technology in Mechanical Engineering. I mentioned the university and I just put Aligarh Muslim University, comma, India. I don't have to mention Aligarh, Uttar Pradesh. You don't have to give details. Just mention name of the university and country. That's pretty much enough. And why? Because now when you apply to a grad school, you're a part of international competition. So you have to act like that. I mentioned the GPA and so there are a lot of online calculators. You can use them to convert CGPA onto GPS. So just directly don't convert CGPA into GPA by dividing by 2.5. That's not a correct version. And one of the reason is because the way US education system works based on grading is a little bit different. For example, a lot of professors, when they make questions, when they make a question paper, their total is not 100, but it's 100 plus 20. So they a lot of time they give, let's say, 10 or 20 points bonus questions, but they grade out of 100. So in this way, people get higher GPA than, but we don't have such similar system back in India. So there are standard conversion factors. You have to put all your grades and they convert it. So use scales. I will also put a link in the chat box that I recommend people using it, but always mention the corresponding GPA. For example, if I convert 8.19, I think it would be what it would be like around 3, like 3.1, 3.2, which is a poor GPA in the US. But 3.95 is pretty good. So I just use this number, put all my grades and get, you can get 3.95, which is really good. Uh, I mentioned senior secondary, and I also mentioned that it is equivalent to US system grade 12. So you can also mention about that. So that just to emphasize that your degree is what is actually for US system. So it's more readable. Yeah, here is one more mistake that I made here. Uh, uh, so I put a date like this, but this is a different format. So they should be consistent. Okay. Again, now coming on research experience, if you have research experience, make sure to mention if you are applying for a non-funded, if you're applying for a non-thesis masters, if you have done any thesis, any research, make sure to mention that. That shows you have a broad experiences. So definitely mention your undergrad experience, your master thesis, your research internships, whatever you have done. And this is for especially for funded MS or PhD, which are basically research based. It's a very most important section of your application of your CV. So this is one of the thing I have mentioned there. You can see what are the mistakes I have done here. I have this kind of redundancy. I calculated, I compared, I calculated, I derived, I derived, I derived. So I is very much repeated. We should not mention that. Again, derive is very repetitive. So you can combine these sentences, you reduce a lot, and you put like MSc thesis, you put a date here, which date get lost. You put under supervision of Professor Shujat Badar, who was our scholar, it's a postdoc in Germany. So you put AMU, which is people really know what AMU means. You have put a full stop here, which should not be the full, in the headings, they should not be full stop. You are already using bold letters. So you don't have to put inverted commas, just use one way to separate out things. So here's a better version for that. So I put the name of the I put the name of the headings. It was my master thesis. I put the name of the advisor, professor name, from which department, uh, and then Aligarh. And I should have put like Department of Mechanical Engineering. That should be better. And I put the correct dates. And that this can also be a format for the dates. Again, when you mention the dates, don't mention like specific dates. You just mention month and year. That's enough. And I mentioned 3 bullet points using different action verbs. That should really be fine. And different. If you just search on internet, what are action verbs? Like basically calculated, evaluated, derived. There are verbs for accomplishment and so on and so forth. So you can just check on internet those action verbs, always use them and try to be used different in different sentences, because varieties is a spice of life. So you have to show the varieties, should not be redundancies. And if you don't have this experience, make sure to emphasize on one experience for non-thesis masters. Okay, coming on, if you have also publications, with some of you may have, you don't have, make sure to mention them. They really make your applications very strong. But if you don't have, just don't worry. It's not it's called it doesn't color much. So let's say this is one of the publication. These are the name of the authors, and these are basically name of the paper, and you put with general with impact factor of 9.3. So this is a better one. Just put the name of the paper. Oh, I forget to tell one of the thing in the last one. That was very important part. You can also put the link of your thesis. So what you can do, you must have submitted your thesis, and if you think your thesis is pretty good, you can make a PDF, upload on a Google Drive, and you put the link here. And see, I'm not copying the exact link. I just put the word link, and it should be a clickable link. So when somebody go and click over that, your thesis must be accessible. And keep those links always open. Do not just put like a like a permission over that. And similarly here, you can put the link of the paper on the website or the URL your paper is, and you can put the name of a journal, 2019 year you have published in. This is one more, study of SSGSA application process, proceeding of the summer workshop and webinar education. You put ISBN number, per page number, so on and so forth. we don't really have to put such information. And why are we putting that? It's not gonna be useful for a reader. I just put the name of the my publication, the link, the year, and where it is published, and that's more than enough, right? And sometimes we have like lot of publications. You don't have to list all of them. You can mention few of them, but and then you can upload every all your publications on Google Scholar, Orchid, or on different platforms, and you can put the links. So your CV would not be full of all the publications then. Right? So like again here, coming back to here, please do not mention the impact factors. Uh, if you have if and again, if you don't have a link of your papers, again you can do the same exercise as you have done with your thesis. You can put the document, the PDF, on the Google Drive and then add the link there. Yeah, please don't put such things which are not gonna useful. Coming back to technical skills, which is very important. uh, it will show you that you have relevant skills that you are for the program you're applying to. They can be your technical skills, experimental, statistical skill, data analysis, any kind of skills. uh, okay. Yeah, so this is one of them. Can you try to figure out what are the common mistakes in this particular technical skill section? Can you please put comments and tell me what are the common mistakes you have? What do you think? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there are some more questions which I'll be answering at the end, which are like that. Yeah. Okay. No need to write OS. Very good. You don't have to write about operating systems. Very good. Bullet points. Very good. That's very good. Yeah. What are the other ones? And this is exactly from a CV I reviewed in the past. Okay. So yeah, let's move forward. So this can be a better one. So uh, again, you don't as I mentioned, you don't have to mention your operating systems. It's a very old thing unless it is important for the application. You mentioned a programming skill like C plus Python. You mentioned you can bring astronomical tools and software to the next heading. You mentioned all of them. Uh, and if you think like you are mentioned like a short forms, if you think you're sending to a professor who already has an idea about that, then you can mention short forms. But if you think it's not, then don't mention. You should know a difference between languages and software tools. Like a lot of people put Python in the software, which is not the case. Python is a language. But matplots and numpys are basically tools, so you can mention there. Uh, and again, if you put a lot of stuff together, it's not readable. Uh, Again, important thing, like when you put LaTeX here, this should be put exactly in the same way. Like T and X is capital when you write LaTeX. Like for MATLAB, for different languages, they prefer like a different way. Like for NumPy, P is capital, so you have to be careful about that. That shows how careful you are, in how careful you are basically, while you are writing some things. And there are a few more. And this floating panel. Yeah, like this is the one I just copied from someone. Like somebody mentioned communication apps, Zoom, Google Meet, Skype. Please don't mention that. That was a little bit relevant when people started in the very scratch, when people started using Zoom, but now it's not. It's not like a normal skill. And a lot of people also mention like skills. uh you know just a lot of people also mention skills like hardworking, focused, passionate. uh I just forget to add, uh, you know working in a team management, something like that. Just don't mention such things unless it's a primary thing, uh of your applications. You think it's gonna impact, like for physics guys, for science guys, that does not make any sense that you mention that you are hardworking. How will you basically explain that? Your CV, the points, your technical skills, your educational qualifications, other things will explain that you're whether hardworking or not, or you are passionate or not. There is no point of mentioning, explicitly in your application, your CV. Moving to the next point, if you have done any conferences, talks, posters, webinars, workshops, you can mention like that. Let's say this is one. So you mention about, this can be one way you can mention, like you mention which conference you attended, where, place, and what you have done there. Like you presented a paper titled "How to Write a Good CV," and you won the best paper award, and you can also bold it. So that's pretty much enough. Just don't clutter things. You can similar in the same way. You can mention the talks, your poster you have presented, webinars, workshops, whatever you have done. Again, those things should be relevant to your applications. Like lot of times we attend webinars on how to speak in English. Like that's used to be like, like 10 years back when I was in Aligarh, or how to have how to develop your personality. So these are not relevant for a PhD applications. For maybe like, for one or two things it is, but in general it's not. So just don't mention such things. If you just don't try to just add the things in the applications, right? Just don't, as a joke is, just don't keep uh, adding random things in applications. Like, so it says, okay, I can raise and lower my cholesterol at will. So can it be can it be like a skill, or like a webinar, or about that? Just don't do it. Okay. And then there's like also one important thing: relevant courses undertaken. So a lot of time when you apply for a particular, like you send an email to professors, or you're applying to a particular program, and then when the reviewing committee sees that you have enough relevant experience you need for this particular program, or the research, or whatever it is, it's really putting emphasis on. So you don't have to mention all the courses. As the heading says, it should be relevant, related to the applications. Make sure to separate between your undergrad or master's courses. You can also mention online courses, but they should be relevant. Like I remember us reviewing a CV from last year, and then somebody has done like 15 online courses. Just please don't mention 15 of them. Just mention only few of them. Otherwise it looks like you're not studying in college, you're only doing online courses. It can leave someone with this impression, at least to me. Or it just take a lot of space in your applications, in your CV. So just put in like limited ones. Okay, so don't have to contribute relevant things. Like this is one of the cases. Like this my master's things I did, what are the papers I did, what my specialization, what are the lab courses. And I did not put all of them. These are only for, so I was applying for theoretical physics, so these are theoretical physics courses. I did not put all of them. I mean, I would still say, now I would say that they are too much, but you can also reduce those actually. Okay. Now coming on work experiences, like you can mention if you have teaching experience, industry experience, you have done teaching assistant, you are giving home tuitions, you can mention like that. Let's say you mentioned teaching physics to high school, and then you mentioned if you have awarded any best student choice teacher award, you can mention the dates. uh, uh, like teaching math in an after school program to high school students. Again, this was basically about like a coaching, which we call coaching back in India, but in the US people don't understand what is coaching means. They use the word after school program. So you have to use the relevant words people can understand, or a reader can understand. Like like somebody mentioned tutoring history in Czech, a platform to help students in learning. So if you think that you're mentioning Czech and people have no idea what Czech is, just briefly mention about it, that this was a platform for students in learning, or like that. And this is one more, like this sort of work experiences. So where you are basically working, you can mention about your company name, you can mention your role, and then you mention what you have done. And whenever you do, like, I mean, for this particular case, numbers are not important, but numbers are like important. For example, you're applying for anything, and if you have numbers, let's say you have lead a team of 30 people, make sure to mention that. You have, let's say you are doing some engineering thing, and you have increased the efficiency of something, let's say solar cells, by 25%, make sure to mention that. So numbers are also important when you explain. Okay, coming on curricular and extracurricular activities, these are kind of like fillers for the applications. So a lot of students are very much confused what curricular and co-curricular and extracurricular means. Co-curricular means that are basically about a curriculum. Like for example, volunteering in a college event, like holding some post in a club, but should be scientific society. Let's say I'm doing physics. So if I'm working for a physics club, then I can mention. If I have received any awards, like the best graduate student award, scholarships, like that. And I mean, and these debates, quiz, essay writing should be physics based for me. Like exams, entrance is qualified. Again, entrance is not a common word. You can write exams. But extracurricular means which are not related to your not related to your education, not related to what you are studying, like volunteering in an NGO, music, dance, position responsibilities, can be debates, quiz, like a non-academic based quiz. Uh, just to emphasize that volunteering is a very important part in US and Europe. People really uh, care about it if you are a volunteer. So if you have done any volunteer thing, let's say in COVID time or any other case, make sure to always mention, because that shows you think about society, you have a broad perspective, you are just not focused to particular field. Okay. So again, volunteer work, as I mentioned, is an integral part. Like a lot of people really start putting a lot of volunteer thing, but just shouldn't overshadow the main thing. It's like somebody said, just brag, but don't drag. So, and also like these are some of the examples people send me. Like they mentioned, they awarded 10,000 rupees by Chief Minister of Kerala. Let's say you're sending to a US professor. How would I know who's Chief Minister of Kerala? What does Chief Minister means? We don't use the word Chief Minister in US. You mentioned you won the best painting competition award in class 6. You're applying for a PhD. So shouldn't make any sense. You are applying for a qualified gate. What is gate? I don't know. What is AIR? I don't know. You mentioned awarded merit cum means scholarship by UP government for 3 years in which I received this is rupees. I don't know what is UP government means. I don't know what is merit cum means scholarship. I don't know, these are the rupees, but let's say somebody just look on internet. In US, this like becomes $40. Like, even like I would say like $30. And then somebody say, oh, you just want a scholarship of $30. Then does not make any sense. So if you think that this number is very less, just don't put that number. You see, stood first in high school, does not make much sense. Uh, I was a class representative, does not make much sense. If you can put that, but if you think just kind of a filler. You mentioned president of X Scientific Society, vice president, treasurer. So a lot of things are very much repetitive. You can you just have to present in a way that you put all the three. You show that you are particular for this society. You are improving your post. Like LinkedIn has such kind of options, and then don't put games and sports, basketball, cricket, unless you have played at state level or some at district level or something like that. So just don't do that. Okay. Okay. So here is a kind of example. Like these are a lot. This from my CV, but that's for a different reason. And there are a lot of things. If I have to apply for like a research based thing, I would reduce things. Like I mention my post, what my post is, from when, I mention where, and I mention what my role is. That's pretty much enough. Let's say I mention about coach and student mentor. I mention the SSGSA, Sachin Global Scholar Award, and I also mention the website. And like leading a team of 30 volunteers. So I mentioned the number of volunteers I'm helping with and like that. Okay. Now somebody asks, should we mention personal details or not? Yes, you can. It need not be, but it's an optional thing. Like you can mention your nationality, you can mention the languages known, Hindi and English. If you are really a polyglot, you can speak many languages, definitely mention about that. But like two languages are fine. Like let's say you're applying for Germany and Europe, like Sababhai can talk definitely more about that. But if you're applying for Germany and if you know German, that is a very important part in your CV. But if you are really polyglot, let's say, you come from, let's say you'll be roaming around all over the world or all over India and you know like 3 languages or 4 languages, which if you speak my languages, you are considered more intelligent than others. Make sure to mention that. You can mention a date of birth for sure. You don't have to, it's completely optional. I personally don't recommend. Should we mention references? Yes. Make sure to mention references like we mentioned professor's name, department, university, email, like that. Uh, just do not put personal emails like Gmails or Reddit emails. Put like a school email unless you don't have any options. Right. Okay. So like these are like choti magar moti baatein, like important things that we should know. We should always use the same bullets throughout the CV for symmetry. Check the grammar. Uh, in some software, you can mention gender, nationality. It's completely up to you. Don't mention short forms which are not clear. Don't mention parents' name. We are all are adults. Don't mention parents' name. And whenever you send CV, it should always be sent in a PDF format. Do not send in the format. Focusing on date of formats, like Indian system use a different date version. Like we first put date and then month and then year. US system has a completely opposite way. Like Europe, I think Europe also has the same system as US, if I'm correct. Uh, we first put month and then date. So if you're confused, you can put like that: Jan 22, August 22, Jan 22%. And since we're using three letters for each of the month, you put like a MAY May, JUN June, not JUNE. You don't have to put your hobbies. Uh, Make sure to put dots after the sentences. And very importantly, when you send a CV, they should be like CV, like a simple thing. It shouldn't be like final CV, final two CV, CV3 or something like that. Okay, so here's a brief summary. Topics of CV format is flexible. You can put in the way you want, but they should emphasize on your strength. First, you can elaborate on your accomplishment and skills within the categories. Always list items in the reverse chronologies, which means the most recent appearing first. You can mention if you have done other things, like you have license, like let's say for professional courses, like MBBS, architecture, and so on. If you have done any workshops, you have done review any books. Present the things which are easily accessible and attractive style. Remember, the professor who is reviewing your application, your CV, receives hundreds of emails every day. So professor is not going to spend all the day just to review your CV. Professor will just simply skim and will tell you. So it should be like easily accessible. Someone should not get stuck anywhere. And importantly, different some of the schools may have a special instructions that you are supposed to consider when you apply for a grad school. So before you apply to a grad school, go and check if they have any special suggestions, open them and make your CV like that. But if you're sending to a professor, you can send in the way you want. And again, get happy, you have a chat GPT now, use it to the full. Use it to reform the sentences, make simple things, and it should be consistent. Like, chat GPT is a feature that you can feed your some of the text and say, oh, learn the way that I am writing, and then write in that way. So maybe you can do that exercise and then chat GPT will write in the way you want. But that should be consistent. It should not leave a sense that you are using only chat GPT to make a CV. One last step, you can please write a CV, send to your friends, mentors, seniors for review, edit it, resend it until you get frustrated. You'll be done. Thank you. And if you have any questions, you can put in the chat box. Thank you.